Hey, it's me. This is Reflections of My Evolution, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Um, what should I title this message? I've been having a lot of words coming around, floating in my mind, and this is the only one that sticks out to me. So I'm going to title this as the message. Happiness is knowing this is a highly advanced game and you can teach yourself how to win. How about that? How does that make you guys feel when I say those words? Hopefully, power might be one of those words, because that's what I felt when I found out that I'm the only one that's in control. I have a few questions for you guys. Are you seeing numerical synchronicities? Like 111, 1111, just numbers that repeat themselves, 1212, 88, 666, which I know has a totally different meaning in the three-dimensional world, but it means much more than that. Have you started to notice that when you are shifting between different parallel realities, um, are you guys making the connection that when you have a thought or you place your focus on a person, on a place, or a thing, it shows up in your three-dimensional world? Have you guys been noticing that it starts in the mind and then it's going to show up in your physical space? Um, are you starting to realize that what you think about is what plays out for you? Because once you make that connection, then that's when you really know that you are the driver and you're the only one that's in control of this simulated experience. Once you figure this out, becoming self aware is going to feel like a gift to you. I mean, think about it, guys. Finding out that you are the only one who's in charge, who's calling all the shots, and that you have been the operant power of your own life this whole time. Even when you were asleep, even when you were unconscious, you already had that power. And now you know this knowledge. Doesn't that shit make you feel powerful? Because I know that if I was a random person coming across a channel on a platform that talked about stuff like this, I would be hopeful and I would feel power. The universe wants this knowledge out. That's why I'm here, and that's why other characters that you have seen in your simulation kind of follow in this direction. Remember, and I have said this before, you are not alone. You never have been. You are always being watched and heard. Even though this is a highly advanced simulated reality, the technology that is laced into this experience is so powerful and is at such a high level that you feel and experience what you create. The body that you find yourself in is rented and is temporary while you're having this human experience inside of this simulation. That person that you see in the mirror or in a selfie when you take a capture of yourself, that is not who you really are. It's simply the character that you are playing the role of in your game. What you see as your physical body in your simulation is actually a virtual reality suit. And it's very advanced. It has built-in human senses. This is why emotions are so powerful in this experience and why emotions are vehicles to your manifestations. Your imagination is so fucking powerful, guys. and it can pull in many manifestation patterns. Many of you still don't understand how powerful you are. Instead of using your power to build and create beautiful things, you end up mishandling it. Instead of pulling in manifestations that create patterns, that are unfortunate, like creating suffering and disease, and even aging, all of these things are what are being pulled in when you don't even know that you have this power. Um, Many of you are unconsciously creating things to make your experience much harder than it needs to be. And I can tell you right now, being honest, I was one of those people. I used to unconsciously make everything difficult for myself. But thankfully, that version of me is long gone. There is so much suffering and pain that is unnecessary that has been created during the unconscious phase of this experience. Um, and this is why, you know, I was guided to create this knowledge and to share it with all of you guys. At the beginning, remembering that you are in a simulation and that the life you thought you were living isn't solid or real can be confusing and even difficult to understand. If you are very new at becoming self aware or new to experiencing an awakening, you are going to have moments of going unconscious and then becoming conscious again. There is going to be a back and forth. And as you adjust, you will feel your unconscious conditioning and its familiar patterns trying to pull you back into what you have been used to. Um, when you experience this back and forth, it's going to feel a little bit frustrating at first and even confusing, but it's part of the process. This is actually normal as you get used to this new mindset that you are building once you wake up. So don't feel ashamed if you notice that you're being pulled back into being in an unconscious state. Don't feel like a failure. You're simply adjusting. And sooner or later, the mind that the mindset that becomes more dominant is the one that's going to become the most strongest. So keep that in mind. Um, when you go back to being pulled into your unconscious state, what is happening is that you're falling back into thinking and behaving as all of your older versions of the self that you have been when you were operating at a much lower level of consciousness. So, at the very beginning, you're going to need all the help that you can get and also helping yourself. Meet yourself in the middle. Write yourself notes to remind your unconscious self whenever you get pulled back that this is only a simulation and it's an artificial reality, and that everything that you see in your three-dimensional world is already your past. It takes some practice to bend your mind, to get to see the world that you are in your simulation as being your past, because everything has the look to it as if it's happening now and it's live, but it's not. What you are living every day are your old desires and old manifestations. What you see and what you experience in your simulation is only what you were taught by your unconscious mind to believe in. And take a moment to think about these words that I'm about to say next. If you don't have an awareness of something, you won't see it or know about it, and it won't be expressed in your simulated reality. So you are only aware of what you know, and that's what you're going to see in your simulation. You are also always shifting through different parallel realities. And in every reality, you're going to experience circumstances that match a trigger pattern from your past. Not every trigger pattern is negative. You have had moments of happiness in your life, right? We all have them. This is what I mean. The more practice you get at accepting and knowing that your mind is the driving force of everything, you will on your own start creating positive triggers as well. Not everything has to be negative. If old unpleasant manifestations pop up to play out in your simulation, don't freak out. I know that's easier said than done because when a manifestation plays out in this simulation, it looks very real. But what you guys have to keep in mind, it's very important that you remain emotionally stable. Keep your emotions steady and in check because they are your power currency in this experience. The advanced technology that is part of this virtual reality is very convincing. There will be many times where you just cannot believe that this whole entire time this has been a very highly advanced life simulation. Think of it this way. This is a highly advanced version of The Sims. This is supposed to feel like a real life with real people in it, but it's far from being real. Every circumstance that plays out is only coming from you, and it will show up as if it's through an external source. Learn to use your power in remembering that it's only you. You are God and you are everywhere and in everything. The three-dimensional world has a deceptive appearance to it. It's almost like a filter that shows you what is completely different from the truth. You all signed up for this. You chose to have the human experience and to be inside of a human body, living a human life in a simulated reality. You chose the characters, even the characters that would play the roles of friends, family, and even love interest and life partners. You even chose to wake up and remember this long after you created it. Some of you are still unaware that you created all of this with your imagination, your mind. And even though you may not remember, you knew you would walk away a better person, a better character or version of yourself from having played this game. You knew there would be challenges and obstacles. You knew it wouldn't be a piece of cake to get to your highest version and to reach your highest timeline. But what you did know is that you knew that this would be worth it. All right, it's time for me to make that exit again. It's a pleasure to connect. May this message bring you power and guidance in all the ways to make you prosper. Live free. End of transmission. Bye.